Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special bonus episode of The Cat Lady. Now, before anything else, if you were watching my last video, you probably saw at the end screen it said press any key to live. Well, I did press any key, and what it did was it closed the game completely and booted me back to my desktop, also closing my video editing program. So I figured that was as good a place as any to stop. So with that out of the way, I would like to use this time in this bonus video to tell you about the endings to Cat Lady. I was under the impression that there were multiple endings and that our decisions during the course of the game would influence what endings we got. So between doing a little bit of research and replaying the game myself, I was able to find a couple of different endings. Now, the ending we got was considered the good ending, but not just the good ending, the golden ending, because we were able to get Mitzi to survive. I know it was called the golden ending because that's also one of the achievements that we got, that I got on Steam for completing the game with this ending. Now, it wasn't just enough to convince Mitzi not to kill Eye of Adam at the end of the game. We had to do a couple of other things to achieve this ending. One of those things was we had to be kind to Liz during the second chapter when we were in the hospital. We had to listen to her stories, and we really wanted to pay attention because it was going to become important later. Because we would later end up on the roof with her when she was preparing to commit suicide, and she would ask us some questions to see if we really were being friends with her, if we really were paying attention to the things she said. And we happened to luck out and get all the questions right. Unfortunately, it didn't stop her from dying, but it was something we had to do to get the golden ending. Another thing we had to do in Chapter 2 was correctly choose the right door when the Raven gave us the option to pick between his two daughters. You know, one was going to lie, one was going to tell the truth, and if we picked right, we would get a reward. Well, we didn't quite know what the flowers meant at the time, but we do now. Another thing we had to do was in the third chapter, River. We had to complete all the tasks for Suzanne in her apartment before she had a mental breakdown. Now, in my playthrough, I was not able to do this in time, but I guess as a stroke of good luck, when I transferred all my data, I lost my saves, so I replayed this chapter and I was able to do it fast enough that Suzanne avoided her mental breakdown, and that helped lead to the golden ending. In the playthrough, there were two other important things we had to do to get to this ending. Well, one of them was we had to give Mitzi the mask, as you saw during the playthrough, because if Mitzi's dead, no point in trying to go for the golden ending. The other thing was we had to reject the Queen of Maggots when she gave us our final ultimatum to blow out the candle. Well, what happens if we don't reject the Queen of Maggots, but rather we succumb to her and blow out that final candle, but we still convince Mitzi not to kill the Eye of Adam? Well, let's take a look.
This ends here.
Then blow out the candle.
I don't think it makes any difference which candle you choose.
Well done, Susan.
Tomato.
So yeah, that's really the only difference is the Queen of Maggots
You
just kind
were
of
thinking
tells us well done. The events here with Mitzi and Susan are, well, the same. And the dialogue with the Eye of Adam is the same as well.
I'm the cat lady. From now on, I win every single day.
Well, she convinced Mitzi not to kill the Eye of Adam, and we get to see how the ending plays out in that case.
It's me, again, talking about my ordinary little life, as usual. I'm still surprised anyone would want to read this at all. The ramblings of a cat lady. Maybe I'm not a cat lady anymore. Things have changed here since Mitzi's death.
Yeah, there's the big one.
I'll never forget those last few weeks. It's a horrible way to die. stuck in a hospital bed with no hope and whole life to pass you by. 6 months ago, I lost the best friend I'd ever had. But at least we knew it was coming. I had time to accept it, just like she did. And I can only be glad we spent that time together. I still miss her though, every day. Did I ever mention I got into all this because of her? I opened her laptop the night after the funeral, and there it was. A friend request, over a year old. A little gift from behind the grave. I met some people. We go out sometimes, and I'm not alone anymore. It turned out there were others who felt like I did. I talked to them, tried to help. And now, I'm writing this blog. I must confess, yesterday was bad. It was one of those days when you feel like you're back in the past, and all the good stuff that happened was just a dream. But I woke up today, feeling better. Maybe I can never get rid of it, this invisible illness. Maybe it will always be living somewhere deep inside me, asleep, waiting. And when it'll hit me hard. But if there's one thing Mitzi taught me, it's that you have to pick yourself up and carry on. It doesn't matter that life isn't fair. It doesn't matter that you make mistakes. You fall and rise again. Worlds full of liars, traitors, cowards. But every now and then, you meet someone like Mitzi, who will just smile at it all. Now, I've forgiven the world and myself too. I teach myself to smile again. One day I'll get there. I know I will. Even if it takes me not 9, but 900 lives.
Alright, and there we have it. That is the good ending. Now, of course, the most obvious difference in this ending is that Mitzi does not survive. Or rather, that she succumbs to her cancer several weeks or several months after the events of the game. She doesn't kill Adam, though, and she doesn't die trying to kill Adam, so at the very least, she and Susan get to spend what remaining time she has together, and Susan ends up a better person for it. And I didn't really think of it until just right now, rewatching this, but Susan kind of becomes the opposite of the Eye of Adam. Adam was kind of preying on weak people and suicidal people and scared people and making them suffer the way he did. But Susan over here found those kind of same people and helped them through their torment and their pain. And that's what she's doing with her life now with her Cat Lady blog. Now, the Queen of Maggots I just want to bring up real quick, because we're not going to see her anymore. From this point on, it makes no difference what decision you make with her, because, well, we're going to see what happens when Mitzi decides to kill Adam. So let's take a look at that next.
Look at these oxygen tanks. I don't think it's a good idea.
What? Why not? I'm the one holding a gun here. And I will blow this bastard's brain out as soon as he looks at me. You hear me? Look at me. I want you to see what you've done. The pain you've caused me.
Mitzi, that's not what I meant. Just put the gun down for a second.
No! No. I can't do that, Mrs. A. I'm sorry. This is something I have to do. I have to.
Can't you hear that hissing sound? These cylinders are clearly leaking gas.
Please stay out of it.
You'll make a whole room blow up.
I don't care. Just leave me alone.
So yeah, that fine kill him choice, you don't even
Fine.
get that until you
Kill
mention
him.
the oxygen tanks.
This is from Jack.
So yeah, Mitzi did it, and that's what happened.
It's me, again, talking about my ordinary little life, as usual. I'm still surprised anyone would want to read this at all. The ramblings of a cat lady. Maybe I'm not a cat lady anymore. Things have changed here since Mitzi's death. She made a terrible mistake by letting her hatred take over. Whatever time she had left, she lost it right there when she pulled the trigger. It was Adam's final victory. He wanted to die, after all, but he also managed to take one more soul with him. I was lucky, for once. Hardly even got injured. The explosion just swept me out of that room, and I stayed alive. I wish I was able to stop Mitzi, to talk her out of it, but I didn't. I'm not sure if I'm more angry with her for firing that gun, or with myself for failing to save her. I still miss her, though. Every day. Did I ever mention I got into all this because of her? I opened her laptop 6 months later, and there it was, a friend request. Something I forgot about a long time ago. A little gift from behind the grave. I met some people. We go out sometimes, and I'm not alone anymore. It turned out there were others who felt like I did. I talked to them, tried to help. And now, I'm writing this blog. I must confess, yesterday was bad. It was one of those days when you feel like you're back in the past, and all the good stuff that happened was just a dream. But I woke up today, feeling better. Maybe I can never get rid of it. This invisible illness. Maybe it will always be living somewhere deep inside me, asleep, waiting. And when it'll hit me hard. But if there's one thing Mitzi taught me, it's that you have to pick yourself up and carry on. It doesn't matter that life isn't fair. It doesn't matter that you make mistakes. You fall and rise again. Worlds full of liars, traitors, cowards. But every now and then, you meet someone like Mitzi, who will just smile at it all. Now, I've forgiven the world and myself too. I teach myself to smile again. One day I'll get there. I know I will. Even if it takes me not 9, but 900 lives.
So yeah, kaboom, yo. Well, I believe that is the Ruthless Killer ending. Regardless of what we do with the Queen of Maggots, we sort of let Mitzi kill the Eye of Adam, and in the ensuing explosion, she perishes as well, but Suzanne, being the cat lady, survives. We start to notice a pattern here now that the endings for the most part stay the same, but the dialogue that Suzanne has before she sort of says that she's taken on this blog changes a bit. And in this case, she's really upset that she wasn't able to save Mitzi, that she let Mitzi give in to her anger and her hatred, and Suzanne probably did too, and it ended with her friend dying even earlier than she needed to. Now we know in the regular good ending, Mitzi would die several weeks or several months later of cancer, but in the golden ending, she survives. But here in this ending, well, she doesn't make it at all. But now it's time to take a look at probably the most difficult of all the endings. Difficult in the matter that we have to make a decision that is really upsetting. And that decision is when we have to use the gas mask. We keep it for ourselves instead of giving it to Mitzi.
We'll never make it to the door. That room is filling up with gas too quickly. Put the mask on, Mrs. A.
What about you? No, I can't.
You've got to. This is your only chance.
No, I can't let you die. Not like this.
It's my fault that you're here. I'm dying anyway. And you've got to live, Mrs. A. You'll live and you'll be happy again. You've been a great friend, Mrs. A.
So here we go. We're going to make a very tough decision and put on the masks ourselves. Now, Adam's father, collapses like we saw before, but, in this ending, Susan didn't hold on to Mitzi like the way Mitzi held on to her. So we've got control and deer. So yeah, you might think just walk right into Adam's room, but no, the other side has plans for us. And there's the raven, the wall of bones. Yep, and even the wheat fields. So even though we're not really dead, the Queen of Maggots isn't done with us. We still have to make our decision whether or not to accept or reject her. The dialogue is all the same, so we're just gonna skip ahead.
What took you so long?
And whether you reject or accept the Queen of Maggots, you just walk into the Eye of Adam's room. And now Susan is going to have her confrontation with Adam without Mitzi there.
Hello, Adam. Mitzi is dead. Are you happy now? You don't have to answer. I'm not sure if you even can, but you got what you wanted. Congratulations. What are you anyway? You're paralyzed, aren't you? How convenient for you. I guess if you weren't, you'd be making a brilliant final speech right now. Something movie villains always do. You'd explain why you wished all those people dead. And then we would fight. Good versus evil, the way it always goes. But I don't know what's good and what's evil anymore. Perhaps I am the evil one here. I've done some horrible things. I let my friend die right in front of me because I'm scared of dying. Funny, isn't it? Susan Ashworth, a miserable reject who used to fantasize about suicide, chose to live after all. But this is your life we should talk about here, you parasite. You saw it all on your camera. Your own father choking to death, after all those years he spent providing for you. You ungrateful pig. And Mitzi, she gave up her only chance for revenge and sacrificed her life for me. Do you think I owe it to her to kill you?
So yeah, even in this ending, Adam sort of uses the keyboard to tell her what she thinks, what he thinks. And even Susan
How
has some
clever
strong things to
is
say
this
to
how
him.
you murder people? That device on your eye, it's a controller, isn't it? I can see why you're known as the Eye of Adam now. That evil eye is the only part of you that works. That and your brain, of course, all rotten inside. You have no idea what you've done, do you? You've made people kill themselves using just words on the screen. In a way, you are a very powerful man.
So we could choose to kill him, but
No.
we're gonna let him live.
This would be exactly what you want. I'm not going to make it so easy for you. But you will be punished for your crimes. Trust me. Your father would always refuse to put a stop to it, wouldn't he? You were his son. He didn't mind feeding you through a tube, washing you, emptying your catheter, but he would not pull a plug on you. Now that your father's dead, they'll put you in some stinking nursing home. They'll keep you alive for a long time, even though you'll wish for death every day. And the best part is that no one will even know about it. Because I'll make sure you'll never see a computer screen again.
And there we go. Susan gets to do what she wanted in the first place.
It's time for me. I'll be leaving now. You can expect people coming soon to collect you. Until then, make sure you don't go anywhere, right?
I would have said sit tight. But his computer's off. He has no way to interact or communicate with the world at all anymore.
It's me, again, talking about my ordinary little life, as usual. I'm still surprised anyone would want to read this at all. The ramblings of a cat lady. Maybe I'm not a cat lady anymore. Things have changed here since Mitzi's death. It was her decision to sacrifice her own life for the sake of mine. A decision that made me realize that people can still care about me, while her life was almost over anyway. She gave up on one thing that was most important to her. Revenge. And she did it for me. But if I really did become immortal for that short time in my life, wasn't it unnecessary for Mitzi to die before her time?
Yeah, that's the heavy
Poisoned
thing
like a rat.
Susan is going to have to live with.
I still miss her, though. Every day. Did I ever mention I got into all this because of her? A little gift from behind the grave. I met some people. We go out sometimes. and I'm not alone anymore. It turned out there were others who felt like I did. I talked to them, tried to help. And now, I'm writing this blog. I must confess, yesterday was bad. It was one of those days when you feel like you're back in the past, and all the good stuff that happened was just a dream. But I woke up today, feeling better. Maybe I can never get rid of it. This invisible illness. Maybe it will always be living somewhere deep inside me, asleep, waiting. And when it'll hit me hard. But if there's one thing Mitzi taught me, it's that you have to pick yourself up and carry on. It doesn't matter that life isn't fair. It doesn't matter that you make mistakes. You fall and rise again. Worlds full of liars, traitors, cowards. But every now and then, you meet someone like Mitzi, who will just smile at it all. Now, I've forgiven the world and myself too. I teach myself to smile again. One day I'll get there. I know I will. Even if it takes me not 9, but 900 lives.
And that there is probably considered one of the bad endings. Mitzi dies even more ahead of her time and doesn't get her chance to take revenge on Adam. But if nothing else, Mitzi's sacrifice, not knowing that Susan would survive, come back, even if she was gassed, she chose to die for her friend. And that act of love and kindness and sacrifice helped Susan get through her own hate and depression and sadness and choose to live. And not just choose to live, but choose to live a life trying to make the world better for other people, trying to help other people who are suffering the way she was and the way Mitzi was. Now, that's the bad ending, and it's also kind of considered the revenge ending, but we didn't really get our revenge on Adam, did we? So why don't we take a look at what happens if Susan decides that she will put an end to the eye of Adam.
Your wish shall be granted.
Alright, so we're going to see what Suzanne does to take out Adam. Yeah, she doesn't have a gun, so she's gotta be a little more clever. Yep, one last cigarette. Of course, one last cigarette covered with her DNA. And that's the end of Adam. we can't say he doesn't deserve it.
It's me, again, talking about my ordinary little life, as usual. I'm still surprised anyone would want to read this at all. The ramblings of a cat lady. Maybe I'm not a cat lady anymore. Things have changed here since Mitzi's death. It was her decision to sacrifice her own life for the sake of mine. A decision that made me realize that people can still care about me, while her life was almost over anyway. She gave up on one thing that was most important to her. Revenge. And she did it for me. But if I really did become immortal for that short time in my life, wasn't it unnecessary for Mitzi to die before her time, poisoned like a rat? Well, one thing's for sure. I made that fucker pay for it. I still miss her though. Every day.
So the dialogue here is pretty much the same. A little different there. Maybe a little different in Susan's delivery too.
We go out sometimes, and I'm not alone anymore. It turned out there were others who felt like I did. I talked to them, tried to help. And now, I'm writing this blog. I must confess, yesterday was bad. It was one of those days when you feel like you're back in the past, and all the good stuff that happened was just a dream. But I woke up today, feeling better. Maybe I can never get rid of it. This invisible illness. Maybe it will always be living somewhere deep inside me, asleep, waiting. And when it'll hit me hard. But if there's one thing Mitzi taught me, it's that you have to pick yourself up and carry on. It doesn't matter that life isn't fair. It doesn't matter that you make mistakes. You fall and rise again. Worlds full of liars, traitors, cowards. But every now and then, you meet someone like Mitzi, who will just smile at it all. Now, I've forgiven the world and myself too. I teach myself to smile again. One day I'll get there. I know I will. Even if it takes me not 9, but 900 lives.
And there we have it. All the endings to The Cat Lady that I know of due to my research and my own playing. And in this ending, Susan gets her revenge. Now the thing I've noticed is that most of these endings, actually all these endings, have more to do with Mitzi than they have to do with Suzanne. Whether or not Mitzi's alive, whether or not she was the one that killed Adam, and whether or not Mitzi sacrificed herself for Suzanne to live. I was also surprised that most of the choices to change the ending took place in the second chapter. So I guess it was a bit of good luck and a bit of paying attention that we were able to get the good ending the first time through. But that's going to be it for the endings for the Cat Lady, and I hope you've enjoyed watching me go through this, and that maybe you'll give the game a chance as well. Yeah, so here we are again. Press any key to live. And before we press any key, I would like to just encourage all of you to go out and live. We are living in some very rough, very hard times. Things are very scary right now for a lot of reasons that are right and for a lot of reasons that are wrong. But I want to encourage all of you not to give in to fear and not to fall for hopelessness, but rather to try to live a life as fulfilling and loving and wonderful as you can, and not let these people that seek to hurt us and control us and just ruin existence for us win. Live and find your own way of happiness. Help others find their happiness. Live a good life that makes the world better for it. And do your damnedest not to give in to hopelessness and despair, because it is tough right now. And it's tough for a lot of people, for a lot of reasons that they have no control over. And for all of you going through that right now, do your best. I can't say that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel or things are going to get better, but things will absolutely not get better if we fall into despair. So if nothing else, just live. Live and try to be happy despite all those people that don't want us to be happy. And if you can, stand up to them and don't let them dictate your life. Don't let your happiness be destroyed so somebody else can be happy in your place. So thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the game, and I hope you enjoy spending time playing these games with me. Stay tough, keep the faith, and God bless you all.